But she is here to tell the story of where Trinity is now and where it hopes to be in the future. So let us welcome the Reverend Dr. Kathryn Kit Kleinhans, Dean of Trinity Lutheran Seminary at Capital University.
Thank you, Bishop Allende. I bring you greetings from Trinity Lutheran Seminary, one of the 7 seminaries of the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America, now part of Capital University, one of the 26 colleges and universities of the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America. I feel like I've been so well set up for these remarks with themes of change and the importance of raising up leaders. You've heard before some of what you'll hear from me, and the themes are so familiar that it's almost as if one might say, we're church, we're Lutheran, we're church together, and we're church for the sake of the world. It's nice when our mission seems to be hitting on all cylinders. I really appreciated Pastor Smith's sermon this morning, the comments that the church is changing as our culture is changing, and most importantly, that while the gospel doesn't change, how we proclaim the gospel must change if we're to reach people today. So let me share with you some of the things that really excite me about Trinity Lutheran Seminary at Capital University right now, some ways in which we're changing in an attempt to proclaim the gospel in the world today. We have just graduated the first class in our new 2+2 MDiv curriculum. You've had Lucas McSurley, one of our most recent graduates, introduced to you today, assigned to this synod for first call. In this 2+2 curriculum, our MDiv students spend their first 2 years on campus doing coursework and then have an extended 2-year internship, during which they also take some courses each semester that are an attempt to integrate ministry, the doing of ministry and the learning of ministry. One of the vignettes we saw earlier in Bishop Allende's report from a first call pastor talked about, wanting a seminary education in which one got out there faster and sooner and learned what one needed to learn in context. That's a lot of what we're trying to do with the 2+2 curriculum. In fact, 3 of our most recent graduates have just been called to serve in the congregations where they've been doing their internships. Now, whenever I say that, people come up to me and say, well, that's not how it's supposed to be. You're not supposed to take a call to the internship congregation. My own husband said that to me. But we're not talking about the kind of congregations that I grew up in. In each of these 3 cases, we're talking about young men who were doing development or redevelopment work in urban settings. One of the most important aspects of doing development and redevelopment work is building relationships. And so over the course of a 2-year internship, those students were able to build deep relationships and were recognized by the synod leadership both in the Rocky Mountain Synod and in the Southeast Michigan Synod as the right person to continue leading those congregations. So we're really excited about this new curriculum and the opportunity for our students to go deep. I said that during the 2 years of internship, our students take some courses. Each semester, they come back to campus for a 1-week intensive, and each semester they take an online course. Another thing that I'm excited about is that we are going to be opening up those intensive courses and those online courses beyond our full-time students. We will make them available for others who might like to take them for credit, or even to those who might like to come down to Columbus for a week for continuing education. For example, this fall, Mark Allen Powell, well known to many of you as a New Testament scholar, but also the author of a book on stewardship, will be doing a week-long intensive on missional stewardship. Our interns will come back and take that course on campus. Others who might like a taste of seminary education are welcome to enroll in the course. But perhaps if you're someone who wants a refresher, who's interested in brushing up on stewardship, this is an opportunity for continuing education. And be looking for more information about that, or feel free to contact me. We're excited not only about making these educational opportunities available to you, but also about what you will bring to our residential students and our interns as you participate with us in our educational ministry. One of the other things that really excites me in the union with Capital University is the opportunity we have to form young leaders, not only for pastoral ministry, but for ministries of word and service. Capital has undergraduate programs in social work, in healthcare, in education, in all the things one finds at any university. Before I came to Capital, I spent 24 and a half years on the faculty of another one of our colleges and universities. And I know that many of the people who choose to major in those fields do so because they want to make a difference. And it's their faith that motivates them to make a difference. I'm excited about the opportunity to reach out to some of those young men and women and say, yes, God is calling you to be a social worker. God is calling you to be a teacher. God is calling you to be a nurse. Now, let's give you a little bit of theological education to supplement your professional training, and you can engage in that work to which you are called as a ministry on behalf of this church. That, I think, is a really exciting opportunity for us. Trinity's mission is forming leaders for Christ's church at work in the world. And the world needs all kinds of leaders, not only within our congregation, but in these other areas of ministry. You haven't seen a video of Bishop Eaton in about 20 minutes, so I did want, as part of my remarks, to show a video. One of the things I like about this is that it lifts up the need for all the kinds of leaders that the church needs, but also I want to highlight the fact that the video you're about to see is something that was produced collaboratively by the 7 seminaries of the ELCA working together. So, Tim?
Do you want to change the world? Do you want to make a difference? Are you ready to serve the world in need? I'm Bishop Elizabeth Eaton, and I personally invite you to consider serving in public ministry in the ELCA. Have you ever wondered if you have the gifts necessary to serve in ministry in Jesus' name? You're not alone. I still wonder about that myself. And we're not the only ones with these questions. Moses didn't believe he had the gifts to lead a people. Paul didn't believe he was worthy to serve because of his past. And Mary Magdalene, an unlikely first apostle. The list goes on and on. But this is not a Bible study. As the angel said to Mary, do not be afraid. God has and continues to call each of us to serve our neighbor and the world in need. God continues to give us the gifts necessary to live into this call. Many ask, does the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America need leaders? The simple answer is yes, and now more than ever. What's holding you back? Are you worried about paying for seminary? Are you worried about where you might fit in? Are you worried about moving your family to attend? The 7 seminaries of this church continue to remove many barriers, offering innovative learning models, distance education, and strong financial aid. I personally invite you to take the next step. Talk with the pastor or deacon of this church about where God might be calling you. Plan a visit to one or more of the 7 seminaries. Click the link to request more information, and most of all, continue to pray, because God has and will continue to call you to serve. Are you ready to change the world?
I've shared with you some things that excite me. Now I want to ask 3 things of you. The first, and you've been asked this by Mika McCracken and by Bishop Allende, first is that you lift up candidates for public ministry in this church. Of course, I hope that you'll encourage them to consider attending Trinity Lutheran Seminary at Capital University, but most important is that they consider responding to God's call to become public ministers in this church. In worship this morning, our Old Testament lesson was from 1 Samuel. Are you a Samuel, hearing a voice, but struggling to identify whose voice it is that's calling you? Are you Eli, perhaps the one needed to interpret for the Samuel in your community the voice that he or she is hearing? Please lift up candidates for public ministry in this church. The second thing I ask is financial support. Seminaries, like synods, like congregations, are the earthen vessels in which we carry the treasure of the gospel. I loved Mika's line, God doesn't need our money, but God's work needs our money. The seminaries are a part of that work. We're very grateful to this synod for the $15,000 that you have budgeted in mission support for Trinity Lutheran Seminary, and I see that in the proposed budget you'll be voting on for the next year, that's going up to $17,500. Thank you very much for that support. And in addition to that, you're budgeting support for seminary scholarships to help students directly, as well as to help our institutions. So the synod is in partnership as a mission supporter of Trinity Lutheran Seminary. If you stop by our table in the exhibit hall, you'll see that we're also promoting a new opportunity for congregational partners. There's a little card you can pick up called the Power of Partnerships. At whatever level your congregation is willing or able to make a commitment to the seminary, we want to be your partners. And if you're someone who is in a situation where you're able to consider adding the seminary as part of your personal stewardship, of course, we would welcome that as well. The third thing I ask is your prayers. Prayers for Trinity Lutheran Seminary in this time of change and renewal. Prayers for all of the seminaries and all of the colleges and universities of our church. And of course, prayers for our church as it engages God's mission for the sake of the world. My final word is a word of thanks. Regardless of where you or your pastor or deacon went to seminary, we at Trinity Lutheran Seminary are grateful to be in partnership with you in mission here in Region 6 and in the Northeastern Ohio Synod. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean Kleinhans. As usual, we are juggling our agenda. You are scheduled for a break at this moment, and yet there's about 4 or 5 things that we are supposed to be doing before that. However, in speaking with our treasurer and parliamentarian, we're going to try to move some of these items into the end of the day, and if not, we will move them to tomorrow. All these exciting things like the treasurer's report and the audit report and so forth. So with your permission, we are going to do that in order to stay on track. And it is now 3:22. So if you can take your break now, and then we begin our workshop sessions at 3:30. The workshops are listed in your pre-assembly materials, and I don't have it in front of me, so please look at the workshop that you would like to attend. The ones that, oh, actually they are here, I'm sorry. World Hunger is at Goodyear A and B. Draft Statement on Women and Justice is at the Harvey Firestone Room. Authentic Diversity is at the Omnova Solutions. And Lutheran Outdoor Ministries in Ohio is at B.F. Goodrich. So take your break, and from your break, go then to the workshop of your choice, and then we will resume, or we will reconvene here at 4:35. So you are on break.